Well, happy Sunday morning to you. I am so glad you tuned in today, and I hope this is a wonderful day for you and your family. I can promise you it's a wonderful day for me and my family. Today is our first Sunday, sort of back in church. We're not having church services, but we are having an open house today. We're opening the building, and we're allowing members to come inside the building and pray. And my wife and I are greeting people out at the entrance of the church, and we have been waiting for this for a long time. I said on our announcement video in the middle of last week that this is not what we want, okay, but it's a million times better than what we had last Sunday. So, I heard somebody say, I've heard a lot of people say this actually over the years, that, your church, the building is just nothing but a building. It's just nothing but a building. And they're saying by that the church is not a building. The church is the body, the people. And it's true, and I get that. But I'm not going to stand here and say that your living room is just a living room. It's just, it is meaningless. No, it's not. You had memories in that place, and you have met with family in that place. You have cried in that place. You have laughed in that place. Your living room is special to you. And for those of us who love Calvary Baptist Church, this building is a big deal to us. It really is. This is where we laugh together, we cry together, we pray together, we study God's Word together. So don't minimize that. That's not anything to take lightly. So today you can see the title on the screen behind me here. The title of today's sermon, I'm going to preach about struggling. And I'm going to do part 1 this morning, points 1, 2, and 3. I'll do part 2 tonight, points 4, 5, and 6. But I want to talk about struggling. Now, there are a lot of ways that a person can struggle, but one way that a person struggles is with sin or temptation. Now, you might say, Pastor King, I don't really struggle with sin. I really don't struggle with temptation. And to that, I would say, oh, yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. Get down off your high horse and just admit it. Now, I don't know what your besetting sin is, or I don't know what your temptation is that comes after you the most. I don't know what your Achilles heel might be, but you've got one. I know that. One reason that I know that is because Romans chapter 7, the Apostle Paul talks about his struggle with sin, his struggle with temptation. I don't think there's anybody watching this video today that is any better of a Christian than the Apostle Paul was. I really don't think so. So if he struggled, I can promise you that you struggle too. I'm just going to read a few select verses out of Romans chapter 7. I'm not going to read all of verses 14 down to verse 25. By the time we're finished with the sermon tonight, we will have read just about all of them. But let me just pick a few of them out. Verse 14 says, "For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin." The law is spiritual, but I am carnal. He's saying that this book right here, this is a spiritual book, but I'm a fleshly, carnal person. Can you relate to that? I can, all right? Let me read another one to you. Verse 18, it says, "For I know that in me," and then in quotation marks it says, "that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing, for to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good I find now." So he said, listen, inside of me, he said, I want to do right. I do, but I struggle to do it. The next verse, he said, "For the good that I would, I do not, and the evil which I would not, that I do." Let me skip down a little bit further. Verse 24, he said, "O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this death?" So the Apostle Paul is talking about his personal struggle with right versus wrong, with holiness versus unholiness, with godliness versus ungodliness. It was a war on the inside of him, and you face that war too. Now, let me give you one quick little illustration, and then I'll get into the outline here. But please hear this. This is very, very important. Just over here to my right, there's a stairwell. Okay, now just a few steps down goes into the basement where the children's ministries meet, and then if you go up one, then you are at the church offices, and then you go up 2 more, and you're up where the teenagers meet. So really, you've got 4 sections of stairs that cover 3 stories: the basement, the auditorium level, team level, office level. So you get the idea. So I was in here the other day, and I was down in the basement. And by the way, I just had one of those days where the step counter on my phone was just on fire. Okay, I mean, I just been moving all day long. I was really tired, and I was down in the basement over here, and I needed to go all the way up to the team floor. And I remember standing there at the bottom of the steps, and I looked up the stairs, and I kind of glanced up the rest of the stairway all the way up to the top, and I thought to myself, I can't do that. I can't do that. Maybe I can get up one section of stairs. Maybe if I just push myself hard, I can get up to the next section where the church offices are. But to get all the way to the top, I'm so tired. I just don't think I can make it up there. And so here's what I did. All right, I made it up to this level here where the church auditorium is, and I found some things I kind of needed to do up here, and then a few minutes later, I kind of meandered my way up the next level up to the church offices, and then I just meandered there a little bit, and in fact, if I remember right, I think I even sat down at my desk and pretended like I was working, and then I made it all the way up. Point being that when I was on the very bottom, I thought there's no way I can get to the very top. And I think that there are probably a lot of Christians today who are watching this video, and that's the way you feel about your Christianity. You know what the top level of Christianity looks like, but you feel like I am so far down the bottom, there's no way I'm ever going to get up there. And I want to say to you that the struggle that you face is real, but you are not alone in that struggle. The Apostle Paul felt that struggle. It was real for him, just like it's real for you, just like it's real for me. But the point is, you got to climb. You got to climb. Going uphill takes a struggle. It's easy to go downhill, all right? But when you've gone downhill, where do you end up? So 3 thoughts today, then 3 more thoughts tonight. Number 1, first thought I want to share with you is that even good Christians will encounter temptation. Even good Christians will encounter temptation. Now, Jesus was not internally tempted to sin, right? Jesus was God the Son, and so there was no internal temptation. And we could spend a couple hours talking about the whys of that a lot. We could talk a lot about that. But externally, he faced temptation. Do you remember Matthew chapter 4 when Satan appeared to him 3 times and tried to get him to listen to him and do wrong? Do you remember that? 3 times. 3 times he appeared to him and tried to solicit him to do wrong. Now, if Jesus if Jesus encountered temptations to do wrong, you will too. You will too. Now, I want to say that you should do everything you possibly can do to stay away from opportunities to sin. If there are certain places that you can go where it's easier to sin, don't go there, right? Don't go there. If there are certain movies that you watch or certain TV shows that you watch or there are certain songs you listen to that make it easier for you to sin, don't watch those. Don't listen to those. But even good Christians, when you're trying hard to do what is right, can still face opportunities to do wrong. So just because you have confrontations with temptation, that does not mean you're bad. Okay, it doesn't mean you're a bad Christian. So that's number 1. Number 2, second thing I'd like you to see is even good Christians can desire sin. Even good Christians can desire sin. Let me read verse 21 for you out of this chapter. Now listen carefully. This verse 21, Paul said, I find then a law that when I would do good, evil is present with me. So what Paul was saying is, even in the middle of when I'm doing really, really good things, there is still evil present with me. Even good Christians can desire to sin, can desire to do things wrong. I can even say in the middle of doing good things, you can still desire bad things. So you might say, Pastor King, there's no way that I can live the Christian life because of these desires that are inside of me. Now, I want to just say something here that I think that 21st century people need to understand. I mean, 21st century people really need to understand this. Just because you want to do something, that does not mean it's okay. You know, there was a popular pop song out a number of years ago called Born This Way. I was born this way. I was born with these desires. I was born with these lusts. I was born with these temptations, with these struggles. And I want to say to you this, that just because there's something in you that wants to do wrong, that doesn't mean it's okay to do wrong. Just because you desire to do something contrary to the Bible doesn't mean it's okay to do something contrary to the Bible. But I will also say just because you desire to do something that is contrary to the Bible doesn't mean that you can't be a good Christian. The Apostle Paul said that he even struggled wanting to do things he should not do. Let me give you number 3, and then I'm going to wrap it up for this morning and finish it tonight. So we saw number 1, even good Christians will encounter temptation. Number 2, even good Christians can desire sin. Number 3, even good Christians can find a certain amount of enjoyment in sin. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 25, it talks about Moses and how that he chose to suffer with the people of God rather than to enjoy, listen, the pleasures of sin for a season. The pleasures of sin for a season. So that is Moses' acknowledgement that sin has pleasures. Sin has pleasures. But don't forget, they're just for a season. The Bible says, "Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good." The taste of godliness is a long-lasting good taste. The taste of sin is just a very short-lived good taste. It's just for a season, just for a season. So you say, well, but Pastor King, there's this particular sin I struggle with and I really like doing it. That doesn't mean you're not a good Christian. What that means is you are normal, but you have to fight the wrong. Now, this morning I've given you the bad news. Okay, I've given you the bad news this morning. Tonight I'm going to give you the good news. I'm going to give you the good news tonight. And let me just say this, because there's always some that don't watch the evening sermon, that in the good news is there is victory in Jesus. And don't forget that. Okay? Struggle. Make up your mind that you're going to win the struggle. God bless you. I'll see you tonight.